Welcome back to the Nerdrotic Podcast. My name is Gary Buechler. I'm live in San Francisco, California, and I come to you from nerdrotic.com. And down in San Diego, we have my good friend and co-host, Dennis Bithoulkas. What is up, Dennis?
I'm all out of love, but I just not lost without you.
Yeah, I'm not lost without you either. But we would be lost. Oh, that was a good transition. Without Susan Leighton. How are you, Susan? Welcome back.
Hey, thank you. I am doing great. How are you guys?
We are fantastic.
Good.
And so happy to have you back. Susan comes to us from 1428 Elm, where she writes about Ash and so many other things daily and does such a great job. Please check it out, 1428elm.com. And we are covering Ash versus Evil Dead. We are, finally in the season 3. We're 4 episodes in, and we have reached unfinished business. I can talk. And we do get a payoff from something I kind of forgot about from season 2. But we also have the return of Ash's dad, Lee Majors. So, we ended last episode with Ash having to chop his dad, he killed his dad, and he gutted him pretty good. And we start the episode with him chopping up dad in the little pieces. But dad isn't quite gone now, is he, Dennis?
No, he said, as a matter of fact, Ash says, yeah, Ruby sent this imposter, like I wouldn't know who my dad was. And all of a sudden we see Ghost Dad show up. Not like how I worked that one in.
There you go.
And we have Brock show up as a ghost, and he goes, "Hey, Pop, how's it going?" He knows his dad, his real dad, showing up, and they're talking about, how Ruby, and of course he doesn't know who Ruby is, and he goes, "Sasquatch." Oh, Ruby, that's right. Yeah,
Sasquatch.
That she sent a Deadite version of him after Brandy to break up him and Brandy, and he says, "Well, it looks like she's doing a good job of it."
Yeah, there wasn't a ton of Brandy in this episode.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, that was. When we left last episode, we didn't even know what happened to Pablo. Kelly. That was one of those weird transitions where Kelly had, Pablo had saved her from what was goddamn terrible with names. Susan with a Dalton. Okay.
Yeah, Dalton.
So Pablo killed Dalton with a truck and then disappeared. And it looked like they were going to go back to it, and they didn't. And that was pretty strange. But they were talking in the so Kelly shows up at the house, right?
Well, before that, Brock ends up telling Ash, he goes, remember I told you about that unfinished business? He goes, well, it's time for me to tell you. And he goes, nope, I got to show you, actually. He goes, why can't you just tell me? He goes, nope, I got to show you. And that's when Kelly shows up to the house, and we find out that Ash and Brock have left, but they left all the pieces of Deadite Brock on the floor.
And this is messy. A question I have for Susan. So when they did that, this is a payoff from season 2. Did they have what the resolution in mind that they come up with, or did they leave it open and we'll fill in this blank later?
Well, they knew that Lee was coming back. That was pretty much the talk. They had an idea that they wanted to bring him back. From what Bruce has said, people seem to think that the storylines are just off the cuff, but they aren't. They plan them out. Like, for example, if they are renewed, season 4, they have a plan for it. They also have an alternate plan that, if it's not, season 3 is going to be the end all be all, and fans will be happy with it. So it's definitely thought out. It's definitely planned. They know they wanted to bring Lee back. Lee was glad to come back, and this time it was different vibe with him, because as Bruce was telling me, he knew the lay of the land. Mm-hmm. He knew, the long flight now. He knew the players. He knew the people involved, and he was comfortable because a lot of that chemistry translates onto the screen between him and Campbell, because they actually bonded over doing winery tours in New Zealand. So wine brings people together. So yeah, they had an idea that Brock that they wanted Brock to come back. So that's the answer to your question, Gary.
I'm going to quote The Simpsons here to alcohol: the cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
Yes.
Hear, hear.
Dan Harmon would agree.
Yes, he would. Yeah. And Apple Crow says, if He goes, "Hey stars, when Ash is renewed, I'll stay subbed." There we go. That was actually a tongue twister there. And yeah, so basically season 4 isn't a go as of yet on Stars. They have not renewed it yet. Everyone is kind of pissed off in the production camp of Ash versus Evil Dead because Stars is dragging their heels on this, and they're just waiting on numbers at this point. And you guys need to watch it. You need to watch it live. You need to watch it, on the app. Watch it and keep watching it.
The numbers for episode 2 were released, and they included the DVR, the live +7, and they weren't stellar. Because last year you were looking at 600,000 plus the live +7s. This year it's like 300 and some thousand, and it's like a 40% drop.
Wow.
And we reported on that at 1428 Elm, and there are a lot of fans out there that are pissed off. They're like, what else can we do? We're watching this show. We have the app. And I'm leaving the European people out. No offense or anything, but we all know it's hard for them to get it over there unless they're in Canada. They're not in Europe, but in Canada they have the Super Channel. In Australia it's Stan, and there are some venues like in the Netherlands where you can get Ash versus Evil Dead, but in the UK it's Virgin, and there's a lot of problems with getting it. But the US fans are the ones that that at least I try to speak to about the show in my articles, because they're like, well, they get pissed off. They're like, we're sick of hearing about this. This is just whining. It's not whining. It's truth. This show will not go on in perpetuity without numbers. Well, the Nielsen's are antiquated. The Nielsen's are still accurate. Okay. Sorry, everybody. And that's not what you want to hear, but they are still accurate. And yes, they do factor in the apps, and not every network makes those privy. Not every network releases them, but Stars did release the DVR live +7s. And even if the app wasn't included, I hate to say this, but I don't know how much better they would be. I would hope that they would be, but I'm not going to go out in that limb and make any predictions about it. But it's real, and people don't want to hear it, and they get pissed at me, and I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sorry I'm the harbinger, but it is what it is, and it's not whining.
You're just the messenger. You're just the messenger. That's it. And and let's talk about that right now. Bruce, you had mentioned that Bruce had gotten some clap back for consistently going out there and going, listen, get the app, and people can get mad at him all they want. He's trying to save his job. Okay, he loves Ash. This is his legacy. I mean, it's his biggest role. He cares about this character. And as Susan said, there's an interview where you can tell he's emotional. Like this is really getting to him personally. So, what do you do about it? I don't know. I mean, it seems like the damage has kind of been done already. I don't know what led, and I want to ask this right now. What led to the delay in them bringing it out? Because I think that more than anything, especially in this episode, which you can tell was supposed to be a Christmas episode because there's Christmas trees in it, and we do kind of an It's a Wonderful Life thing. What led to, or if you can say, Susan, what led to the delay?
There's a lot of theories on it. I can't say definitively because I'm not in Stars programming. A lot of people said they wanted to miss TWD. They wanted to miss Stranger Things. They didn't want to compete. Bruce had said that they wanted a slot where they could have a chance to acquire new viewers. So they picked February because, as he said, everybody's ready to hang themselves after the holidays. So why not watch, Abbott? But, it's a mystery. Nobody's gotten to the heart of it. You could say, yeah, they wanted to avoid all that, but now they're facing TWD in February.
Yeah.
So, it's I have plenty of theories about it. I don't want to say anything, because I don't want to get, called out by stars or anything, because I don't know. It's just a theory. But we can't always get what we want. In an ideal world, there would have been October. But they also have to understand that stars, and if everybody's been paying attention to Lionsgate, they are rolling out programming consistently. That is they already had planned. They had Vida coming out. They had Counterpart. Counterpart was being talked about over the summer, and the buzz was genuine with it. They were like, this is the next best thing. Check out Counterpart, J.K. Simmons. They've got that limited series of Howard's End. Personally, why did we have to redo it? I don't know, but there's probably a market for it. I trust that they have marketing research. We all know they do. But there's a lot of programs and only a certain number of slots.
Yep.
We can conjecture all we want, but we have to move on from that because we can't change that reality now.
No, we can't. The only thing, excuse me, I have observed in our very short time in doing this podcast is when any show takes any kind of a break, and I mean like even a week, and we just gauge it by what's interest in our recap. And of course, I'll throw out the disclaimer that it could always be us. We could always just be sucking. So that's always my first go-to. But after that, it's lack of interest in the show. And you could tell what episodes are more interest. We could gauge it by our views. And even when like The Gifted is a great example of a show that took some weird break right before their finale. Actually, I think Counterpart's doing that too. And it affected the ratings. And especially when you're in a first season show, Ash should have another. And I totally understand what they're thinking about, because like Ash has a following, so they'd wait. I didn't, I was bummed, but I was okay. It's like, we're gonna get it, it's all right. I'll wait a little bit. But I think some people just move on when it gets longer than a year. You're playing with things there, but it's unavoidable because they do have other shows to schedule. Sorry.
Well, what's interesting is, let's think back to The Sopranos. It seemed like 2 years went by before they had their next season, but people turned out. People were like, we want to see this journey. We want to see how this ends. But the problem with Ash is it's a niche show.
Yeah, it's cultish, if you will.
For as much as Get Out and It, and everybody acts like, well, they revived horror. No, horror's always been around. It's not a revival. We're not doing that post-horror whatever thing was happening like at the beginning of the year. But even though we're seeing Get Out win Oscars and it is horror, when it comes to television, look at the struggle that Stand Against Evil had just to get a third season. They were thinking about, okay, renewal, it's going to happen, but still it was that television limbo. And Bruce told me that's standard operational procedure now with networks, is that television limbo. And, there's nothing you can do about it. But in the past, when shows took hiatuses, like I said, The Sopranos, the fans came back. But when you're a cult show, you're working with limited viewership to begin with. And then if those people don't show up, like Bruce was saying over the summer, Stars was coming to him and Rob Tappert and going, where are your fans? We're not seeing it. Look at the numbers. I mean, it is what it is.
Wow. Also, I think changing out Greg DiGregorio as the showrunner hurt them big time. I'm noticing a big change in just the voice between, last season and this season. And I was just telling Gary, I'm noticing a lot more, almost kind of like a slip back to 90s kind of humor. Complete with sound effects, like the doo-doo-doo, kind of like Ash bumping into the door after Brock had gone through it and having the sound effect, the boing kind of sound effect. And I'm like, you guys weren't doing that in season 1 and 2. You're playing it a little bit better. You still had the humor in it, which was good, but now you're playing it kind of really goofy almost. And I think that actually is kind of hurting it a bit as well. just it seems like the production value kind of went down a little bit.
You're not alone with that thought, Dennis, because there are a lot of fans out there that are really upset about Ash becoming a buffoon. They're like, when did this happen? This isn't the way that it should be. So they're upset about that. But I'm going to go out on a limb, and I hear about Craig D. Gregorio and that whole flap that went on, creative differences, what have you. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Mark Verheiden, I love what he's doing with this show. I can see where maybe the humor is a little heavy-handed. Maybe it's really moving towards Stooge-esque, but we all know they're huge Stooge fans. We all know this, and I get where you're coming from. But what I like about Verheiden is we're taking this in a direction that each episode you get to see these characters bond. You're getting to see them come into their own. And you're getting to see Ash. He cares. I mean, this is just phenomenal. His daughter, that whole little exchange with him and Brock, when he's like, my boy's a father now. And, you know, you can see Ash is kind of upset that his daughter thinks he's a monster. Last year, would Ash have cared? You know, would he have even cared? We're getting to see this fabulous, in my opinion, character development. And, you know, I just get the sense that people aren't giving this a chance. You know, I believe that what the cast is saying with the way it's going and this epic movie feel that each episode is bringing, even with Joe LaDuca's score, it feels like a movie. And the sad part of it is it feels like it could be the end every episode. And that, I guess, was part of their intention to move us that way. But in terms of Verheiden, I like what he's doing. You know, a lot of people said that they felt season 2 wasn't moving in the right direction. They had a lot of so-so episodes there. You know, it's just a matter of opinion, but I think people need to just let this play out and go along for the ride.
Yeah, because they had to do that with season 2, which was great, by the way. I loved season 2.
Oh, yeah, I did too.
So I don't know. I didn't catch who directed this episode, but Dennis and I we did a Patreon video where we reviewed Solomon Kane a couple days ago, which had a lot of very loose Raimi connections to it. And we found out the director for this movie did, how many episodes did he direct of
4.
Ash? 4?
Yeah.
That guy needs to get another chance, but we were talking about that. And I love Solomon Kane, by the way. If you missed it on
James Purefoy.
Yes, that was such a cool movie. I'm sorry it never got a chance in America, but
Daniel Netheim is the one who directed the episode tonight.
But let's cruise on with the episode here. So Kelly does come over to the house after Ash and Brock Ghost Brock have bailed, and there's nobody there. And she sees, you know, a body chopped up on the floor, and she's like, "Oh, well, another day with Ash." And Brandy shows up, and she had forgotten something.
Her phone, of course.
I don't know how kids still can forget their phones. It's like the only thing they look at. God damn, get off my lawn. But so she decides, like, hey, you know, you need to stay close to me, because whatever your involvement is, you know, people I know have died, and we got to get going. So they jump in the truck. They're gonna take off, and Pablo comes back, and Pablo is he's succumbed to the evil again. And we get him attacking the truck. He takes a good chomp out of Kelly's leg. And I knew the payoff that we'll talk about in a second. I knew that was going to happen, by the way. Just as soon as he took a bite out of her leg and got a good chunk of meat, by the way. So Kelly and they decide to go into Ash's trailer, which is so hilarious that, I mean, it's a trailer, but it's ginormous when they're inside it filming, and it's cool. They're having fun with it, but it's like
a TARDIS.
It is, right?
Yeah, he's got like a huge studio. You know, it's like a gigantic studio apartment, like 800 square feet in there.
Yeah, that would cost, you know, like $5,000 a month here in San Francisco. Easy.
Did you guys check the Shining moment that Pablo gave everybody?
Yes.
I
That
love
was
that.
great. No, this was some of my favorite parts of the episode because like we got a bunch of just Raimi shots. Just the quick zooms and the people flying and Pablo kicking the trailer, and they're trying to figure out just what to do, and of course what Brandy's phone. Kelly left her phone in the truck, and Brandy's phone is dead. So they just got. What did she say? She's like, "Oh, we're gonna wait for Ash to come and save us," and that's not really a plan. And Pablo wants another taste, and so he's attacking, and then we go back to the hardware store, and we're walking through a memory, one of Brock's memories, and this is that Christmas moment I was referring to.
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life, and we get the payoff, which was a little weird. So the payoff we were referring to is right before Brock dies. What does he say again, Dennis? Help me out here. He says,
he goes, I've got something really important. It's gonna, it might be even earth shaking and shatter your world. And he goes, I wanted to tell you. And that's when he gets hit by the car.
Yeah. So we get the they're in Brock's memory. So he's seeing two Brocks, and he's in the hardware store, and we see a guy in a trench coat come in, and he's one of the Knights of Sumeria. And maybe even what's his name's dad, who knows, but he talks about Ash, and he's got the missing pages from the Necronomicon, but that's not really why Brock showed Ash this memory. And of course Brock was a complete dick to the guy and says, this evil stuff got my son in a lot of trouble and it ruined his life, so you could screw off. And then the guy refuses to leave, and he blocks a stairway down to the basement, and Ash is all, wait a minute, you got a cellar in this place? And so Brock,
you missed some of the greatest lines though. Would you like to talk to Ike and Tina and make some of their greatest hits? And then he says, he says, he's going to block him some more. He goes, well, maybe you can do it in high C. And that's when he kicks him in the nuts.
Yeah.
Knocking him down the stairwell.
And kills him. Or he thinks he kills him. So what does Brock do? Like any good father would do, he seals the door, never to return, and leaves the guy down there. Leaves the body down there.
Business was shit. That's why.
Exactly. That's why
he closed the business too. The business never reopened.
Yep. He just bailed. Like an absentee father. He was gone in the middle of the night. Said he was going to get a pack of cigarettes. Gone. And so the pages are still down there. So Ash goes, get me the hell out of this memory. And we get, of course, the cool, putting on the saw. And, Brock's like, what are you doing? He's like, listen, Ash says, I've got a lot of experience with this. So they head downstairs. Of course, the body is gone. And they keep moving down, and there's a bunch of weird stuff happening. And they see a bunch of writing on the wall, and they see the body. And he had been eating Brock's spam stash, and that obviously killed him. I guess he couldn't have gotten out of the basement. It looks like part of the wall had been blown out, but that might have been from something else. And there's a bunch of, and this is where you guys are going to have to help me, because so there's a bunch of Sumerian writing on there. And when Ash gets closer, he sees Brandy's friend. Kind of the writing starts moving, and you see it kind of gloss up, and you see Brandy's friend trapped in the book, or trapped somewhere, or
that's where we get later on, is we find out that there's been a portal that's been opened up because of these pages. And it's a portal between the netherworld and our world, and it's something that the Dark Ones can actually come through. And I kind of know where this is going with this, so I'm not going to say what it is, because but I know where it is. And it's interesting. So that's why we saw Brandy's friend, her soul was in there. And we also see the book, the Necronomicon, start flipping around in Ruby's house. And that comes to life as well. And we see that Kaya, the one that we had told her soul got sucked into the book, she actually starts talking to Ruby as well. And telling her about the portal.
She was a former knight. She was a former knight of Sumeria.
Yes.
Yeah. So one of the things Tapper talked about was this. I'll backtrack a little bit. When Pablo was attacking Kelly and Brandy in the truck, this was like this might have been one of the reasons it was delayed. They were having a bunch of problems with that, and I guess that's the last thing they shot for the series.
Yeah, it was the truck scene with Brandy and Kelly where he's reaching through the window for her. That was the last scene.
Susan, did you hear about a lot of delays in like shooting? Did this happen a lot, or was this just this one thing?
Well, I saw a tweet that Dana put out today with the behind the scenes about the, what was going on in the truck between her and Ariel, and they were tired and there was all this stuff going on. But in all honesty and everything that I, read about it, I didn't come across anything about delays in production, unless they kept that close to the sleeve, so to speak. Yeah, I didn't hear anything like that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, we never heard about it anyway. And that's actually how we kind of got in contact with each other was, our sheer curiosity of we did that Is Ash Being Canceled video, and we were like, what the hell's going on? Just talk to us, tell us what's going on. I understand why they couldn't, because they didn't know actually. And it took Bruce saying something, but I'm glad they went back and reshot that scene because it came out very well. I know sometimes in filming some stuff can get super frustrating, but it turned out well, so they should be very happy. So the Knights of Sumeria went ahead and opened a portal. I hate it when people open portals, so irresponsible. And they're causing all this crap. So and Ruby keeps on referring to the Dark Ones, and Dennis, I slightly know what's going to happen, but Ruby is not on the side of the Dark Ones, obviously.
No, she's not. The Dark Ones want to kill her because she screwed them over.
Yes.
Big time.
Well, she's bad.
And she just wants all the power. Yeah. She just wants all the power for herself. And she's going to do anything she can to get that. And also, by the way, what happens with the wall, not only is he seeing Brandy's friend, her soul in there, but tentacles start coming from the wall as well and grab Bruce, and they do a little yoga for him.
My hammy.
Well, what's funny about that, and I hate to laugh about that line, but when he said my hammy, I could only think of Burn Notice, where he tore his hamstring completely off the bone, and then in season 2, he wrecked his hamstring again. And just watching that whole thing with the tentacles and everything, his stunt person, and I don't want to butcher this man's name, but I'm going to try it. Horatio Vasilev. That guy he must be a beast, because the amount of physical, activity that he has to do. It's like, is he a gymnast? What is this? But he's great. But yeah, that was a sequence to remember with the tentacles and everything.
That was so cool. And I actually paused that a couple times because I'm like, how much of this is CG and how much is, and so much of it is practical. I was shocked. And there are parts you could see, especially when you pause it as much as I did, you could see the stunt man. But Bruce did a lot of that stuff too. There's a couple scenes like he did. That was great. There were like a little bit of the close-up stuff. I don't know how the hell he did it at his age. So good.
He's a limber guy. He does, according to him, he does like a lot of stretching, and you almost would have to at any age to do half that stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Well, yeah, considering that, how much Sam likes to beat up on him. So
I know, right? So just a quick shout out to the chat. We're going to get to you guys in a second. We're going to finish up recapping the episode real quick, and we'll get to you. It looks like you guys are talking amongst yourselves, and that's very good. I just want to say hi to Viking Bitch. Viking Bitch, again, thank you for all the kind words today. And I did get in touch with Doomcock, so that's going to be very interesting. And Apple Crow, Mike, how are you? Jody, what's up, Jody? And David Hill, and we'll get you guys in a second. Sorry to go, but yeah, Dennis, take us out.
So Kelly and Brandy are they're looking for stuff to tie up Pablo with at this point because they don't want to kill him. And all of a sudden, Kelly, her leg starts hurting her pretty bad, and they bandage it up, and then they start hearing Pablo's voice coming from inside the trailer, and they're trying to go, where the hell is he? They're looking around, and then Kelly looks down at her bandaged leg, pulls off the bandage, and it's Pablo's mouth with his nose, and just talking, goes, hey, how's about another kiss? And they start screaming, of course, because that's kind of unusual to have a mouth coming out of your leg talking to you.
That was awesome. The leg puppet, they were talking about that in the chat. I knew that was going to happen. I wasn't sure if it was going to be Pablo's face. I thought it was just going to be a mouth with some teeth, but they went full on Pablo's face. That was gross, man. That was so weird and funny and very Ash versus Evil Dead. That's but that's kind of where we really didn't go back to do we go back to them one more time? I can't even remember.
We do go back to them. Oh, well, no, that was actually the last time.
Yeah, that was it. That's where.
Then we have Ruby talking to Kaya, and Kaya saying that the Knights opened up the portal, and that she needs to close that portal before the Dark Ones come through. And so she goes to go and find Dalton, the Deadite Dalton, and extract a little bit of information from him. And she does an incantation to actually get some of the evil away from him temporarily so she can question him. And he still has the tree limb through his chest from front to back, or back to front, if you will. And he's telling her, he doesn't know anything about the portal. And even if he did, he wouldn't tell her anything. And he says, but now we've got the Sumerian dagger and people who know who you are, and they're going to kill you. And she goes, who has the dagger? And she goes, you know what? I'm just going to let evil take you over, and I'll get that information anyway. And Dalton, good for him. He's got a gun stashed in his boot and blows off his own head.
And that was, I've just gotten so used to heads exploding on this show. But that was a particularly good one. And I like when Ruby removed the tree stump and we got the Monty Python blood spray.
Yeah. After
that was brilliant. So yeah, Ruby's like, God damn it. She should have just left the evil in there. That's what she should have done. It's like,
yeah,
and Ash susses out where Ruby is because she took somebody else's identity, and she found that out for the school counselor from Brock.
Yeah.
And heads off to her house and gets it. What did he say? I've got some champagne and I've
got some sandwiches, and I've got a nice dry a nice buttery Chardonnay.
Yeah.
And so does some creeping around and finds the Norwegian.
Yeah, you hear singing coming from the attic, and so he goes up to the attic and finds her still handcuffed to the sink there, and the baby asleep in the crib, and she's like, shh, don't wake the baby. And he'll basically pantomiming that he's going to be evil if he wakes up. So he's saying, well, why don't I use a chainsaw and I can cut that off? And he's like, no, don't do it. He goes, wait a minute. So he gets his mechanical hand, which we already saw had fritzed in the beginning of this episode. And he says, I'm going to unscrew it. We'll pop it off and we'll get you out of here. And of course, the hand cramps up onto the sink, and they have to just pull the sink off anyway. And she's singing a little bit too, just to keep the baby quiet. And, a little bit of blood, or I guess you could say a blood clot, comes out of that sink and just splats down on the ground. They both kind of scream a little bit, and the baby's awake.
Yep. How does that? And the baby, screams, and that it's got the big mouth. But what the hell does Ash say to? I forgot. Like
at the very end, he goes, "What's Norway for up shit creek?"
It's a Norway for up shit creek. Oh my god! And I hate to say it, but one of the best parts of the episode was the scenes for next week. And I'm just going to come out and say it because you see the baby wearing a skin suit. You see a 3-year-old kid wearing a skin suit. It's like, and they did the post credits little like making of. They were showing I guess they tried out 2 or 3 kids. They needed to get one that screamed right, and the kids are covered in blood. And this kid was laying down in the crib with a finger in its mouth. And I'm like, what parents? What the hell? Like. How is this a thing? They must did they not tell the kid what the subject matter is? I go, this is an ice cream, kid. And that's just ketchup all over you. Like, don't worry about it. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I do like when he set the thumb in his mouth. He goes, oh, he's just sucking on his thumb. And the Norwegian hiker's like, that's not his thumb. And he looks over and goes, oh, that's a choking hazard.
Uti Pooter Shooter. Is that that's what Applecrow says is up shit creek in Norwegian. Ut der Pooter Shooter. Oh, that's funny. Sorry.
Uh,
It made me laugh.
So that's when we go to black there, and we're waiting for next week, of course. So let's get to some of the comments here while Gary contains himself. And so we have Apple Crow. He says, "I'm surprised they didn't dig more into the sexual tension between Kelly and Pablo now that he's a Deadite."
Oh, what? Say that again. Sorry, I was looking at Jody's.
Okay, stay with us.
Good. No, Jody's doing good monitoring, moderator stuff. He's deleting some comments there. Good boy.
Apple Crow said, "I'm surprised they didn't dig more into the sexual tension between Kelly and Pablo now that he's a Deadite."
Well, I think they kind of did with the whole, but I think he just took it to the point where I want to eat you. Actually eat. That could be weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't either. But maybe they thought that was low hanging fruit. So
yeah. Apple Crow. Oh no, this is when they're talking about raiding the village and all this kind of stuff.
They're talking about that in the live stream.
Jody says, "I can relate. Zombies never really had been my cup of tea, though I did enjoy bits of Walking Dead. It's not really the sort of show for me." And they were talking about. Jody Apple Crow was saying that zombies in Ash versus Evil Dead don't really do it for him, so that's why he wasn't really.
That's okay. That's okay. And the show is not for everybody, and Walking Dead is not for everybody. Susan, would you still consider? Probably knowing the answer to this question, but would you still consider Walking Dead actual competition for Ash, or do you think I kind of think people will love either both? I don't know how much of a crossover there is in those fans because they're such different shows.
There are quite a few fans that do like both shows, and are kind of, in a quandary of what do they watch. Some will DVR Ash and then watch it immediately, and others will do TWD. There is some crossover there. There are fans that like both shows, but they are, as you pointed out, Gary, they are very different shows. Yeah, there's Deadites and there's zombies, but it's a whole different scene.
Mm-hmm.
Totally different. So, can they exist together? Certainly, I think they can. And you're going to have your fans of one, you're going to have your fans of the other, but there are cases where they do actually meet, where there are mutual fans. Because remember, Greg Nicotero, the showrunner, has roots with Evil Dead.
Oh, yeah. He was on the very first
Brotherhood. Yep.
Yeah. He was on the very first Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 as well. I think he was even in Army of Darkness, right? That's right. He was.
And there's a whole bit at Walker Stalker Con where Bruce Campbell said that he's the person that invented Lucille. And there's a whole thing online about his little chat with Mr. Nicotero in a station wagon that led to Lucille. What he says, though.
But Lucille was in the comics.
Yeah, it's interesting. You have to check it out. Oh. I'm not going to say it's yay or nay, but it could be a huge yarn.
Okay, yeah, I think it might be. Yeah. Jody says, I remember from last season he was possessed by Baal, but they did the time travel thing to undo that. They're talking about Pablo. That was one question I had too, and I know we bring this up almost every episode here since this season, is they went back in time, supposedly destroyed the cabin, yet nothing changed, and they haven't really addressed that as of yet this season.
It's coming.
I hope so.
The one thing that hasn't changed from the show is its pacing. It's still very good. I love the half-hour thing. And when Dennis first told me about that, I was like, I don't know, man. But it works so perfect with this show. Yeah. That's a weird story about Walking Dead. It got me thinking about Susan. You ever heard of the Walking Dead cast, the podcast, Walking Dead cast?
Yes. I have.
Yeah, the guy who hosts that used to shop at my store, and he went to that first Walker Stalker Con. He helped it. God, that thing is so fan rooted. It was cool. That was cool. That was one of the best parts about Walking Dead, and one of the best parts about Ash is there was such connection to the fans. And And it sucks that some of this has been lost. I hate to really bitch about that too much, but man, it's not looking good for us folks in Ash versus Evil Dead land right now. It's not looking good. And I was like really hopeful at first. I thought we'd get this worked out. But when did you say we're gonna find out for sure?
They said mid-month. That's come and gone now. I don't know, what's going on behind the scenes. Campbell keeps on saying mid-month, but that's pretty much come and gone. I don't know when they're going to announce what the game plan is there. I know a lot of fans are on edge. They want to know. They want to figure out how it's going to all play out, I guess. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they're going to wait. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe they don't know. I don't know what's going on with the whole Lionsgate Stars thing too. Yeah. That's going down, and there's so many changes everywhere right now.
Well, the Lionsgate deal fell through, from what I understand.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
interesting.
That's what I heard last week, or sorry, I read last week, I should say. So, from what I understand, that's not a done deal. So, who knows what's going to happen with that? That might be why it's up in limbo still.
That's interesting. A lot of stuff is in limbo in Hollywood right now. It's going nuts.
It's a game of musical chairs right now.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. We'll be talking about that on Friday.
Yes, we will.
Applecrow says, I liked how seeing Brandy's friend makes you think, oh, maybe they can free people who are possessed. We might get Pablo and Dalton back. 10 seconds later, okay, so maybe we can get Pablo back.
Yeah. I don't know if we've seen the last of Dalton. Have we seen the last of Dalton?
Well, people come back for guys' ghosts.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Remember, Brock's head got smashed by the Delta.
It did. They brought him back.
Yeah.
I don't know, but they can't get rid of Pablo just yet. So, Susan, you were saying that they have contingencies for either. They
right.
Like we're going ahead with season 4, so they have shot an ending for season 3 that could be an ending. They've already done that. That's in the can, and it's out there if they want to use it.
Yes.
Okay.
From what I understand, and unfortunately, I don't know if you guys were aware of this, but at the beginning there was, and I won't name the publication, came out with a spoiler-ridden entire season where everything was laid out for Ash. I'm not going to get into it, but all I will say is that Bruce Campbell retweeted it and said, well, there it is, I guess. And it laid out the entire season. And fans were pissed about that, and rightly so. Yeah. I mean, I don't know whose decision that was to say, yep, this is good. Let's make this. Let's run this article. I don't know who did that, but I will say that it answered some questions. But did you want to do it so soon?
Yeah. Well, God, so many places do that and spoil. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good.
Jody says at Applecrow, yeah, it's frustrating that they seem to be on the way out. If Pablo doesn't get turned back, then they could be prepping for the series to wrap up. Pablo's a major part of that dynamic.
Yes, he is. He's one of my favorite characters. I was hoping to see a lot more of him. I knew there would be side characters with Ash. I didn't think, I didn't look into it too much before the show started, so I wasn't sure how big Pablo was going to be. I always just assumed that if anybody hangs around Ash, they're dead, and Ash is going to end up alone, and we might get a new cast. So I was very happy, pleasantly surprised to see. Well, I mean, he kind of died, but I was very pleasantly surprised to see them. He had a crew. I think that really helped the show a lot, and Kelly and Pablo have added a ton to it. So
yeah, I thought it was gonna be kind of like Spinal Tap, where he just keeps losing band members all the time, and just getting new people.
Yep. So yeah, I am interested to see if this is the ending. I'd be I don't know. I'm interested to see it, but God.
Well, Ray told me over the summer, he said he likened everything to 6 Feet Under. And he said to me, he's like, you're going to cry, you're going to laugh. Then you're going to think about it when you're doing housework or whatever. You're going to watch it again. And it's going to be one of those things. And I was like, oh, I said, Ray, am I really going to cry about this? I'm like, I'm not looking forward to that. But yeah, it's they keep on teasing. It's going to be epic and nothing is going to be the same. You know, nobody's safe. They've been saying that for months now.
I've always assumed it. I mean, none of the movies ended well for Ash, so I just they're going to stick with that. Maybe he goes to the great big Jacksonville in the sky. Who knows?
I did want to mention also, we did find out what the J stands for now, and Ashley Williams. Ashley Joanna Williams.
He pulled a little Johnny Cash boy named Sue on him.
And I love that Brock said, that gave you character. He goes, I got my ass beat on the school ground quite a bit.
Yep.
Yeah, but it toughened you up.
Look at you now, fighting the evil. Yeah, there you go.
Oh man, I love that. I'm seeing here. I hit the majority of the highlights here.
Apple Crow said, I thought they might be clearing a spot for Brandy and keeping 3 characters, but I think they can do it with 4. Dalton has to have some more as well. I agree. Apple Crow wants a little more Dalton.
I think they're going to bring in the Knights of Sumeria as kind of a rotating, like I was saying, the band members that keep dying. And I think that could be a thing there where you just keep having these knights come in and they die.
Yep.
The red shirts.
Yeah, that would be kind of funny, actually.
I have something to tell you. And then the next guy comes in, he has to, get the baton and pass it on a little further. He dies, and another one comes in, they die.
Yep. Yes, Jody, it was A Boy Named Sue by Johnny Cash.
Yes.
Speaking of, somebody just mentioned Nika has both versions of Ashy Slashy. Is that the puppet? Are you referring to, Mike? There, I need to get that, by the way.
Yeah, yes. I need to get that too. Yeah, it's on Entertainment Earth. I'm not shelling for them. I just know it's on Entertainment.
That's cool. That's good. That's a good time to mention our contest, which I did not mention last week. So our contest is we're going to have a little Ash vs. Evil Dead prize packet if you have subscribed and you leave a comment. Now you in the chat, that counts as a comment. Okay, so you're good. And I put your and now that I can go back and see it, your names get attached to a number. Numbers go into an Indiana Jones hat, to be exact. And I pull a number out, and at the penultimate episode, we pick the winner. And then we announce it at the end and we announce it in the final episode. We're recapping the winner, and you're going to get an Ash versus Evil Dead figure. You're going to get a set of Ash meets Jetty meets Jason meets Freddy comic book from Dynamite that came out. Oh God, is it 8 years ago now?
Yeah, it's about 8 years ago.
Jeez. So you get a set of those and something else, which I haven't gotten yet. But yeah, you're going to get a pretty cool prize packet. So all you have to do is subscribe and leave a comment, and you're good. All right. Thanks.
Nice. Viking Bitch says if they want to truly wrap up Ash, a 6 Feet Under ending would be a great way to go.
Yes, not a Sopranos ending.
No,
I didn't totally hate that, but
no. Shell says, Shell was saying they sell an Ashy Slashy good version currently. The evil version is released in this August, I think. So there's going to be an evil version of Ashy Slashy the puppet.
It can go with my. I'm going to move and show. It can go with my angel puppets from Smile Time back there, and I do have a Spike one too, which never popped up, but they did a Spike puppet. Yes, Dennis and I like puppets.
Yes,
I do. We do.
Puppets are great.
Dude, they're great. And that angel puppet is worth like Muchu bucks right now. So yeah, if we're through the comments, we can wrap it up. Mm-hmm. Susan, you have any tidbits? And please plug away. Plug your wares.
Well, I can't really, all I can say is for the upcoming episode, just hold on, because there's going to be some exciting things that and I'm not shilling for Ash, but there's going to be some things that you're going to go, what in the hell are they doing? And it's going to be exciting because I've never seen anything like it. In terms of, we're still covering it 1428. We're still going to be covering Ash. There's still going to be recaps and everything. Like Ted and, actually what Chet said, till the wheels come off. So
Nice.
we're always going to be doing that. And everything at 1428. Of course, you guys are great having me here. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy talking about Avid. So yeah, we're still in it. We're still finding little tidbits and everything, that's going on, because Campbell's over in Europe right now doing his book tour for Hail to the Chin. And I think he does the German Con Weekend of Hell next month. So there's a lot going on in everybody's universe in Evil Dead. So stay tuned. And Ray, for fans out there, Ray Santiago is going to be on Twitter tomorrow at Real Ray Santiago, answering all of your questions. Anything that you want to ask him, go ahead and do it. And I believe it's 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But you may want to check if you're on Twitter so you can talk to Ray. And I'll tell you, those things are a lot of fun.
That sounds cool. Maybe I'll ditch a little work tomorrow and do that. That con in Germany sounds awesome. I'm gonna go.
Ray's gonna be there too, actually, with Bruce. And I think Danielle Harris is gonna be there. And there's quite a few heavy hitters for the horror scene that are going to be over in Germany. So I have friends that are going to go.
That sounds fun.
It sounds great, because I know Campbell did his Glasgow signing tonight, and from all accounts that I've read on Twitter, it was like sold out at Waterstones. So good for him.
Nice.
That's nice. Dennis, little housekeeping.
Yeah, you can find all of our stuff over at nerdrock.com. You can also find us on Facebook. We have two pages. We have our regular page where all the news comes up. That's just look for us at Nerdrotic. And we also have a podcast group where we have everyone. We have about 101 people right now. The latest being Tony Pappas, who I don't think is on here at the moment, just joined up. And that's where you can leave all your comments and any kind of articles. Basically, everyone's chatting together. It's a really good time. You can find me on Twitter at DeForest. You can find Gary at Nerdrotics with an S. And we can also be found on Instagram as well. We have at Nerdrotics. And you can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Android FM Player. Is that correct, Gary?
Player.fm. That's
Player.fm.
We
Thank you.
that one. That's all good.
Okay. I knew there was one that was out there for us Android people.
We're all over the place.
We also have a Patreon.
Yes.
I'm going to let you go with the Patreon there.
Yeah. It's patreon.com/nerdrotic. We have 3 tiers: $1 tier where you just kind of give us a tip, a $5 tier where you get some comic books, some exclusive stuff, and you get to suggest podcasts and YouTube videos, and a $15 tier where you get a Loot Crate box, which is called a What's in the Box box, where you get some toys. Some of the stuff that might, a good representation is behind me on these walls. Comic books, and you get to suggest videos. Plus, we give you exclusive content once a week. Starting this week, we gave you a Solomon Kane review, and the stuff you suggest to us actually goes on the main channel. So we're doing Venture Brothers soon. I am doing Farscape, and you get to watch me watch Farscape for the first time. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully I like it. I'm sure I will. So Susan, would you like to join us next week if you can?
I would if you'd like to have me. I'd love to be here.
I would love to have you. Okay, tell you what, I'd love to take you the rest of the season, but I know you're busy and you might be traveling, so if you got to miss one, that's totally cool. But let's just do this for the rest of the season if you're cool.
You can have me for the entire season.
That is great. I just saw in the chat The people are loving you. Okay, so
Great. Thanks,
yes, they are.
guys.
hey, you're doing you're great. You're a natural kid. So yes, Jody says yes, please, more Susan. Viking bitch says yay, come back, Susan. Yeah, right on. I love it.
Love you
Thanks,
guys.
that's great. Nice. Yes.
Hey, and you guys, if you can, sorry, I didn't mean to, because I
okay, go on.
completely, died on the plugging. But if you guys are interested, you can always catch me on Twitter at Susan on the Ledge. And I, hang around there. So you can hit me up anytime if you have any questions about anything. And if you're down to talk about Ash or movies in general, feel free. So that's where you can find me.
That
Nice.
is great. Sheila 62598 says thanks, Susan. Jody says
No, not Sheila.
oh, I'm sorry, Shell. I saw oh Sheila. No, and then Jody said thunderous cheering and applause. Yes. So guys,
Yeah.
for those of you who watched the live stream earlier, I'm going to work on that Discord thing, by the way. Somebody was talking about like maybe starting a Discord. I don't know what that even is, to be honest with you, but I'm going to look at it. I've heard of it. I'm going to look into it. So
Mike Krychek also says Susan rules in Branson.
Branson. Yeah, okay.
Branson, Missouri. Oh, Branson. Mike Krychek, is that Krychek from the X-Files? Is that you? No, I'm just kidding.
And how's your father? Says I stand with Susan.
I stand with Susan.
All right.
Nice. See, you've got fans instantly taking over the show. That's great. All right. Final words and goodbyes, guys. We'll go around the horn. We'll start with Susan. Any final words?
I keep on harping on this, but I can't stop enough. We are, we're still in it. We're in it to win it. We don't know anything at this point. Anything can change the tide. If you got friends, have viewing parties. Talk up Ash versus Evil Dead on social media. Support the cast. Come out, talk to Ray. The last two things they had with Groovy Bruce and with Lindsay Ferris were great with the fans. They answered all questions. Just come out, watch this show. I can't stress it enough. Everything is vanilla pretty much on broadcast TV. Love or hate stars, we have Ash. We can have Ash for season 4, but we've got to show stars at this point. Let's just get that app, get an approved platform. It doesn't have to be stars if you don't want stars, but just watch the show. You're going to be pleasantly surprised. You're going to get invested, and there's still a chance. That's what I can say. There's still hope.
I love the fact that there's still hope. I'm very hopeful for hope. Dennis?
Yes.
Yes, I reiterate everything that Susan says much more eloquently than I could. And I'm just going to say, people of Earth, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out.
Dennis and I will do another video with a very clickbaity title, so don't panic when you see my clickbaity title. But it's just gonna get, kind of like the whole canceled thing we did in that video. We barely talked about it being canceled, but that got people to watch. So whatever it takes, I will do it to try to save this show. I will. So on that note, I will take us out, I guess. Remember, kids, progress, not perfection. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Susan.
Hey, thank you.